Welcome, folks, to a special edition session of Let's Chat with me, Meor Addelan. And throughout this whole week, we are going to be talking about budget 2021. Yes, everybody knows that Friday, previously, our finance minister has actually tabled the budget 2021 in the What Rakyat, explaining, sharing with us what has actually been in store for us Malaysians, what we can expect happening in the year 2021. Hence why for this week, we have budget 2021 for the Rakyat. There's no denying the fact that this budget has been given a lot of thought to the Rakyat. And to dissect more, I have with us our resident financial expert. Ladies and gents, may I bring you in Mr. Khairi. Shahrin. Hi, Assalamualaikum, Khairi.
Waalaikumsalam, yo.
It has been a very expected kind of budget when our Senator Tengku Zafrul actually tabled the budget a few days ago, in which that 320.5 billion ringgit, the biggest in Malaysian history, to table and to help out. I mean, that's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? Why that huge amount of money has been allocated for 2021. Your thoughts?
You know, like you said, it's the biggest. So that's one surprise there. You know, even with the current situation, rather than the government trying to play safe, you know, saying that they don't have money and such, they went on a big way. You know, this is the biggest budget. We have two areas to cover: is the pandemic, COVID, and the economy is not doing well. So, and then the people are suffering. You know, so they said, look, we're gonna go big. You know, to cover three areas. You know, if you look in general, one right at the top is about the people, about the rakyat. Cover on the COVID side. You know, we need to really find a way to deal with this pandemic. People are losing jobs. Graduates can't find new jobs, so it's about job creation and the basic things. You know, for the P40 especially, to cover all the basic payments. You know, straight away give cash to them. We read the newspapers or even some of the whatever that we receive from social media and everything. People will get whether individuals or household up to 1,800 as a relief, and then there are a lot of other things that we will cover. Businesses, small businesses, big business, everybody is covered in various focus on key investors sectors, on the investments, and then on a much bigger picture on the economy. This is an expansion budget. How the GLC is going to play their role, and some investments or what we're going to spend even on public amenities as well. But yeah, I guess what we're going to discuss here today, right, Meor, more on for the Rakyat, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the fact that that's what a government needs to do. It needs to consider, it needs to help, it needs to assist us as Rakyat moving forward. We live such in a different spectrum. The fact that we have our B40s, we have our M40s, and we also have our T20s. Everybody has their own requirements. Everybody has their own sets of priorities that they need to, concentrate on, that they need to really think about. And as you mentioned, a lot of help has been catered from the government to the Rakyat and everything. As you mentioned, lot there has been an increment of youngsters, the unemployment, the singles, the single mothers, for instance. That's great news and everything. But just want to put a bit of a perspective. When there's so much candy being given out to the Rakyat, how is it that our country itself is able to sustain this? I mean, we're that rich, is it? Are we that rich?
Unfortunately, not really. But in this case, we have no option. But it's just going to be a deficit budget again. In previous years, it's just that now it's going to be more, because you look at the tax collection, it's actually going to be less than even what they're expecting for this year. So yeah, I mean the government has no other option, to go into deficit, and it's going to increase our total debt. But we have to do it. I mean, this is for the economic stimulation. This is to provide jobs. This is to provide multiple growth, especially, for example, like in construction, it will have a multiplier effect. So this is what we need. We don't need what we do not want is for the money to stay still and not moving in the economy. What we want is that, that 100 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit or 10,000 ringgit is moving around, to to as many people, from one hands to another, as many times as possible.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because again, as much candy that the government is able to actually fork out, is able to actually give out. I'm using very layman terms here, because the fact that it is a necessity, it is a need, it is a time where we can't be stingy. At least the government can't be stingy. They need to really look into how to help, because again, the Rakyat will contribute as what we normally do anyway. We contribute to the economy, we contribute to the growth of the GDP, as you mentioned. One point I want to raise is that, yes, the incentives that has been proposed, that has been tabled, is a good news, but you can't also deny the fact that this doesn't really give that much of an impact if you are a B40 or if you are an M40 living in a city such as Kuala Lumpur, because the cost of living is always there. You look at how the so-called middle class people in KL, they are suffering because of the cost of living in comparison to any other cities of any other state. They may not have that much of a commitment. Equality, we're talking about equality here. Why wasn't there such equality where you look at, all right, you live in so and so places, so you're gonna get X amount, but you live in a higher places because of a KL, for instance, then you get a higher bunk. I mean, would that have worked better? Why couldn't they implement this, do you think?
It is targeted to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, the government has to look in totality, to cover the B40. I think that's the key areas, and of course you mentioned also on the M40. One of the things, for example, I mean, you mentioned in terms of the cost of living, right? I would take you to this, the public transport now. It's only about 30 ringgit. It was mentioned yesterday, and 5 ringgit per month for kids. This is a huge discount, compared to, I remember like 20 more than 20 years ago when I was using Intrakota. If you remember back then, we had to probably come up with 20 or plus ringgit a month. Now the kids are having it for 5 ringgit. This is more than 20 years later. Yeah? So what the government is doing here, and public transport, we're talking about cities, more we need this more than other areas, right? So this is good news, even for anyone who is working, who has to really come into town and everything. The public transport is only 30 ringgit, if I'm not mistaken. As recent as probably a few years back, this whole MRT cards and everything charges about 150. So you're talking about 80% discount here. So this is really good. I mean, it helps in certain ways, and then but overall there are other things that to look at. The 1% reduction tax, lower EPF contribution. So all these things help. I mean, government unable just to help people in the city alone, but it covers the whole spectrum of the population. But yeah, I guess at the end of the month, people who are living probably in a smaller towns, but same as for example, a government employee in a big city, that particular person in a small town definitely have more ringgit more money in their pockets at the end of the month as compared to people living in a big city because of the cost of living.
It is very, very difficult for anybody in power to actually be fair to everyone across the board, because there's no denying the fact that it fluctuates so unevenly. I mean, like, everybody has their own, as mentioned on top of the show, different requirements, different expectations, different commitments, and everything. It's hard to please everyone. Hence why I personally believe that they're trying their best to accommodate this as much as possible. Now, one topic that you want to highlight is that, yes, a chunk of the budget as well has been allocated to new businesses, to new developments, specifically in the digitalization of Malaysia. Grants will be giving out to fiber optics infrastructure. You're talking about ICT infrastructure getting a boost about everything. That has to be good for Malaysia, right?
Yeah, definitely. In the current situation, like you and I, a year ago we probably been in a studio together or something, right? What happened after the pandemic is that it's all about a speed up of when I talked to one guy, 5 years of development of digital, for example. Everybody's going into the whole digitalization. The bank, the retail players, people don't go to malls anymore. People are buying everything through the Shoppees and the Lazadas and all. It's all about digitalization. So there's a budget allocation to this because it is affecting everybody in big picture. So there's a basic telcos. I think 1+ billion, right, that the government said they're going to spend on this, and the telco is going to help out as well. But on a much bigger scale, why we need this digital? Because people working from home, using the internet, using their phones and everything. So there's about 7.4 billion. This is on the big picture. To build and upgrade broadband services in 2021-2022. So this is just to increase the capability. And then you look at in terms of the digital network for the schools, for example, they're going to spend about 500 million just on this alone. All these efforts, 1 billion on industrial digitalization transformation, and then we're talking about for SMEs, another 150 million digitalization grant for automation and everything, because the government realized that first of all, people are losing jobs, and actually there are jobs available still in Malaysia, but some of these has been occupied by the foreigners. So what the government is thinking, look, if we can replace with automation and reduce the number of foreign workers, which is high in labor or focus in labor, right? Like we go for automation, then the locals can replace this probably 3 to 5 foreign workers, and we give them a higher salary, but with automation rather than high intensive labor. It could be more machineries or more automation for it. So there's a lot of this, and then even not. So, but you need these people to come into the picture first. I mean, you need these people to have skills. So, government looking into this as well. Digital upskilling for 6.5 billion on that to quality education on all this digitalization. Another 100 million for MDEC, transition of existing workforce to push into ICT. 230 million financing to SMEs in terms of working capital and upgrading of automation systems. All these things, these are all related to digitalization. The way we're living today, how we're working today, or for the past 7 months, I must say, since March, the government realized that going forward at the government levels or at private levels or even at individual levels, everybody has to embrace this digitalization, and hence also this spending bill that going to be for next year and the subsequent years as well. Yeah, we have to embrace it now. We have to not just embrace it. Everybody just have to adopt it straight away. Nobody's going to office. Like we have that 10% limit and everything. So the other 90% workforce, they have no choice. Stay at home. Use the internet day and night. Create the new office environment at home and everything.
In general, your own perspective, your own understanding, your own feeling towards it. Did the government do well in regards of budget 2021, you think? Bottom line?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. It covers everybody, there's more from talking, like this time there's always about these big mega projects, the kind of budget that we used to have. If you remember, for many years, it's all about mega projects, but now it's really deep dive down to the people, to individuals, to the OKUs, to the women, to the small industries, and really look at all the basic needs that I mentioned just now on the transportation, on the EPF contribution, on the EPF account. So everything that the government has tried to cover as much as possible here for everybody in various age groups, in various sectors. I would say it's very, very detailed, and it covers a wide range, if it's not individually, even at businesses level. So yeah, bottom line is I think this is really good. I think they have done a lot of homework and covered as much as they can.
Yeah, for the Rakyat indeed, budget 2021, all we can do is that we can hope that we fully utilize this.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah,
and do the best we can, and not to gripe too much. Griping is fine, but not too much to the extent that you're complaining 9 times out of 10. That's not what you want moving forward. Anyway, Khairi, Shahrin, thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Meor. Appreciate inviting me again.
Thank you so much. You have a good one, man. Assalamualaikum. All right, guys, that was Khairi, Shahrin talking to us about his perspective for the people, as well as what has been tabled by the finance minister for budget 2021 that happened a few days ago. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely for the Rakyat. You cannot deny that. But what are you to make out of it? Are you just going to sit there and just accept it with hands open? Or are you going to take it and do something about it for yourself and your family and your loved ones? That's the thing that we need to take on. Moving forward, it's going to be a tough year, guys. Let's do this together. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this time's episode. Hope to see you again on the next one. Take care now.